everybody, and welcome to another episode of This Week in Real Estate, hosted by yours truly. My name is Ray, and this is the show. I'm so glad you guys are here. I also hear myself in the background. Let me mute that one right there. I am a professional. This is episode 346 of this little show. That's a long time, but this is the first episode of 2026. That's right. I've not been live all year. So I normally don't go live the first week or so because, vacation. But then we had Elite Retreat right after that. So here we are, the third week. This is our first show. So thanks everybody for joining. We've got a lot to talk about. Zillow getting sued again. We're going to be hitting them up. We're talking about Compass's opinion of other MLSs around the country. They tracked it. The Redfin CEO stepping down. NAR put out a full report telling you what they're going to be doing in 2026. And we'll see if it's worth it or not. I actually had AI analyze it. So we'll get into what the AI says about it. And we're broadcasting on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Kick, Twitch. Everywhere. We're literally everywhere. And if you're watching the show, you can comment. I can display your comment just like Matt Lamar. She said, first one. USA. Thanks, Matt. So I'm watching the live feed and it is a little choppy, but okay, whatever. But I'm excited to be with all of you. Thanks everyone for joining. There's Matt Lamar. She's over on Instagram. He says, what do you mean you aren't on YouTube? Subscribe now. That's right. If you're watching on Instagram, you're getting like a very close up of my head because that's the new layout. Sorry.
It's a little close.
Sorry, not sorry. I sent some suggestions into StreamYard as to how they're supposed to lay it out. So hopefully they'll take those suggestions and make some adjustments. I see Olivier over on Clubhouse. What's up, man?
I mean, the good news is your beard is a third of the screen. So true to the brand.
On the gram, yeah, that's true. It's getting grayer and grayer and grayer. I think if I watched this show in reverse, I'd see it get nice and brown. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. Before we get into the headlines, I did want to cover just a couple of things real quick of what's coming up. And I've gotten some messages. I guess this was over the holidays, because I referred to our book club and some stuff like that whenever I was talking on the podcast, and people are like, what is this book club? How can I sign up? Well, it's perfect timing because the book club is about to kick off another book. And we've had people from T-Wire in the book club. So Matt's joined. We've had Andy a couple of times. Mia, she's over there on Instagram right now. She says, join the crowd. You have it dipped. Join the crowd. You can have it dipped. I'm not going to get my beard dipped, Mia. I'm not going to do that. Anyway.
Can I give a quick little endorsement for the book club?
Yeah, please.
I mean, I shared with our brokerage that we should probably go through Dan Martell's book, and now we're going to go through Dan Martell's book.
Yes.
And so I'll get a second shot at it because there's so much good stuff in there, but it has helped me launch 2026 in an amazing way. So thank you for doing that. But it's a great book. And if you haven't read it, you should go back, but you should sign up for the next book club.
Yeah, he's talking about Buy Back Your Time. That was the last book we did at the very end of the year. And I thought the timing was kind of perfect because it did kind of set up like expectations and, it helped me reevaluate my time block and all that kind of stuff. This next book, you could actually read both of them kind of in coordination, but I'm gonna announce the next one right now. Oh, I still, after all these years, don't have a drum roll sound, but I've got a whole soundboard full of sounds and none of them are drum rolls. Let's see. What's the closest thing I have? Oh, you know what I do have? This may get taken down, but I've got, this is kind of the closest thing to an anticipation and then a payoff. So this is what we're going to do. Here it is. This is the closest thing to an anticipation. See, you hear the anticipation. What will the book be? The first book club book of 2026 is The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek. That's as close as I got to a drum roll. So there we go. I'm really excited about this one. It's one that actually Matt did a book club on years ago on Clubhouse. And that was my, I think that was my first time to read through it. But we've never done it as a book club together. So we're going to be going through it together. I love the timing at the beginning of the year because it is a little bit of a refocus book. It's not like the Dan Martell, like buy back your time. It's not the specific, hey, you should get an assistant for this. And here's the practical applications of that. It is more of a heady book that basically helps you reevaluate where your priorities are. And then once you know where those priorities are, how do you function in business? And what does it mean to be in an infinite game? Which is interesting because I just heard someone the other day say life is finite. And I was like, or is it an infinite game? So we're going to be taking a look at this together. If you're interested in this, down in the description of the YouTube comments, there's a link to sign up. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can just go click the link. You can register for the Zoom call. The first Zoom is this week, but we're just going to be talking about the book. I'm going to introduce people to the book club, talk about how we do the book club. And then I believe it's a 6-week read. So the next 6 weeks we'll be going through it. There's also another book club going on that's not really affiliated with the Real Agent Society, quote unquote, but a lot of people are also in that one doing the Purpose-Driven Life on Fridays. And then when I heard a lot of people were going to be going through that book together, I was like, maybe I should reevaluate my book choice. So this is really cool. I went to, I looked at all these other books. I was like, man, no, I still kind of feel like it's the one I chose. I went to ChatGPT, opened up a new chat and said, hey, if there's a group of real estate agents and a big portion of them are reading The Purpose-Driven Life, what's a companion book? What's a book that everyone could go through that would not contradict anything in Purpose-Driven Life, would not add a load of work on top of Purpose-Driven Life, but would kind of be a nice companion to start applying those things to business? And it gave me a list of 10 books. And at the top of the list, it said by far the best match would be The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek. And I had already chosen the book. I'd already created the guide. I'd already created the reading list when I heard that people were doing the Purpose-Driven Life. I thought that's pretty rad. That's some divine intervention right there. So there you go. The Infinite Game. That's the first book. If you're interested in joining the book club, send me a message. I'm on Instagram at Ray Zorback, RayZorback. Let's see. Yeah, here it is. Boom. RayZorback. So feel free to send me a message if you want to join the book club, or if you're watching on YouTube, just go down to the description and there's a link for you to sign up there. See Marty. What's up, Marty? Over on Instagram, he says, great book. Marty_Reinhardt_vibe. If you know Marty Reinhardt, that is a great Instagram handle. Look at me talking in like lag speed. I'm watching myself kind of lag on the screen. That's why I don't know why it's doing that. It's something about the new layout, the dual broadcast with the vertical feed that goes to Instagram as well as the horizontal feed. What's up, Brittany? I see Brittany Mixon joining over there. Okay. Let's see. I think that's all I have. I do want to say that you can always subscribe to the podcast. I'd love it if you would subscribe on Spotify if you're a Spotify user. We don't have very many Spotify listeners, but if you are a Spotify user, please go subscribe and also review the show on whatever the Spotify thing is. Spotify makes you listen to the show before you review it. So don't just jump over there and try to review it without listening. You actually have to have listened to one of the shows. But definitely please give us a couple of reviews on there. We have some pretty good reviews on Apple too. But thank you guys for listening. Most of the listeners listen later. So I appreciate you guys. And for those of you showing up live, if you hate the show, there's no better way than to subscribe and hit that bell so that you can be notified and hate on it live. It's one of the best things you could do. And I did make a Clubhouse bit.ly link. So if you're watching this, you're like, I can't find them on Clubhouse. bit.ly/REN Clubhouse. All one word, lowercase. And you can find where we're broadcasting there. Okay, are you ready to jump? I'm ready to jump. We have a lot of news to cover today. I'm going to try to get to it all. I'm not going to go like way back before Christmas, before the Christmas break, and cover like economic news and stuff like that. We'll hit on a couple of things with the industry tea that happened over the holiday. But really, I said I was playing golf. Olivier, what's up, man? He says, not first because I have to work, not like lazy Matt. Okay. Oh, Matt, speaking of, we need to DM each other about golf content for Instagram relating to real estate.
Okay.
Me and the Matt on my team have an idea that we're going to institute this year, and I'm pumped about it. But I thought of you and Scap. I was like, ooh, these guys should definitely do this.
Well, Scap's not playing golf anymore. He's given up.
He gave it up for the new year. He abstained.
You are so full of shit there, Matt.
I heard you were supposed to, for your New Year's resolutions, you're supposed to stop doing things that aren't good for you. From what I could tell.
Well, why do you think I'm going to stop referring stuff to Matt then?
Oh,
yeah, no, I'm excited. That's awesome.
Okay, let's talk about Zillow. Dun dun dun! Washington agent sues Zillow for alleged mortgage steering. This is another class action lawsuit. This time from a Washington real estate agent has accused Zillow of allegedly steering business to Zillow Home Loans. Last week, Zillow Group became the target of yet another class action lawsuit, adding the company's mounting litigation. In the suit, the agent, who is based in Washington state, accused Zillow of wielding its monopoly power to steer business to its mortgage arm while allegedly charging for services at elevated prices. As a result, Zillow is able to extract outsized commissions, steer agents and consumers alike to inferior financial products, distorting both real estate and lending markets, unquote. The complaint was filed on January 16th. I feel like the plaintiff, Stephanie Dupuis, D-U-P-U-I-S, that sounds French, Olivier, Dupré, who owns Dupré team in Kitsap County, Washington, alleged that in the complaint that due to Zillow's hold on the market, agents have little choice but to join the company's partner agent program, which includes premier and preferred statuses for referrals. An agent's rating and Follow-Up Boss, Zillow's CRM. Remember when Follow-Up Boss bought Zillow's CRM? Olivier says, very French. We're taking over the U.S. That's why I'm learning French, man. My new overlords, Canada. Anyway, an agent's rating on Follow-Up Boss, Zillow CRM, is tied to the number of loan approvals they secure through Zillow Home Loans. The higher the agent's rating, the more connections Zillow sends their way, and conversely, the lowest rated agents risk getting cut from the program. In other words, premier agent who fails to direct their clients to ZHL, Zillow Home Loans, will see their business slow to a trickle because Zillow will restrict their access to connections. So that's called an illegal tying agreement. Zillow spokesperson told Inman in an email statement that the complaint is a one-sided story, doesn't reflect how Zillow Preferred operates. So I want to give out like an alleged recap. It is a recap, but it's a recap of allegations related to Zillow thus far. And these are not necessarily the legal allegations. I don't know how many of these are in legal briefs or how many of them we saw on Reels and things like that by people like Linda Baker and James. Oh, what's his name? Why can't I think of his name?
Joygans?
No. Is it Jared James? That name is in my head, but I don't think that's his. Let me see. No, it's not Jared James. Yeah, it is. Jared James. Jared James Today is his Instagram handle. Man, for a second there, I felt like I was going crazy. He was also talking about things that were coming out and realtors that were telling him behind the scenes what was happening. So just a recap of what that is. Zillow essentially is creating a horizontal integration with other things that happen at the same time you purchase a home. Loans, real estate agents, etc. They get a referral fee from real estate agents that they refer, 35% or so. That currently is not disclosed to consumers that click on the button contact an agent. That is one point of contention. And people are saying, well, it should be. And that's the Sitzer-Burnett style lawsuit that they're facing, saying that there's compensation going to Zillow that's undisclosed, and Zillow is a real estate brokerage. The other side of that is this rating system that a lot of the flex teams were put on based on referrals. And some are alleging it was through Follow Up Boss. I've heard other statements saying that Zillow spokespeople would go to these offices and tell the offices things that they didn't necessarily want to put in writing. Like, hey, wink, wink, you send a lot of stuff to us, we'll send a lot of stuff to you type of thing. And then some say that they have pictures of slides that these presenters shared that included those things, where Zillow was saying, basically, your rating depends on how many other products of Zillow you use and you refer your clients to. So this is coming to a head in various class action lawsuits. And part of me thinks it is possible that some of the class action lawsuits from real estate agents are coming in because they themselves don't want to get in trouble. Because a real estate agent that participates in this activity is just as guilty of the service that is asking them to participate in the activity. In other words, if a lender came to me and said, hey, if you send me more loans, I'll send you more referrals, and I participated in that, and I did that, then I am just as guilty as the lender who's asking me to do that. So I think to save their own bacon, there are likely real estate agents around the country that are saying, well, you know, that was my experience. That's what they asked me to do. So we're going to sue before I get in trouble from a consumer suing me. But there also are consumers that are suing based on these allegations and lawsuits, or based on these undisclosed fees and things like that. Matt is dropping headlines in the comments. Buyer's agent commission see rebound in wake of settlement. Yep. Then buyer owes $24K for breaching buyer broker agreement. We actually covered that on the show. I don't think you were there that day. Yeah.
My bad.
It's fine. We're not going to get to all the news today. Like I said, I don't care if we have a little review. But yeah, I'm super interested to see how Zillow skates out of this. I think their business model is going to have to change. I don't see a surviving business model with the current way they're operating existing in light of the lawsuits, because either they will settle and change how they operate, or they will be forced to pay a sum of money and change how they operate. So how do you get out of changing how they operate? I feel like they're going to continue until they can't anymore, and then they'll just change. It'll be a cost of doing business for them. Okay. Any more comments on that? Anyone on the Clubhouse want to jump in? Is anyone out there in a current Zillow partner program and experiencing some steering?
No, but
you can send me a DM in the back end and I won't say your name. Just
I was going to say, yeah, raise your hand if you've been steering people. So this, I hopefully this goes without saying, but like if you're going to pay for leads, if you're going to partner, like maybe a little bit of due diligence would be nice. We ask our buyers to do it when they're, freaking buying a house. Maybe you should read some of the terms and conditions. Maybe.
Well, and Rocket Mortgage essentially doing the same thing as far as the referral goes, right? You use a Rocket Mortgage agent and you're not being told that agent is paying a referral fee. And it's my understanding from talking with a Rocket Mortgage person years ago that if I send them business, they send me business type of thing. Now, this was years and years ago, so maybe it's not like that anymore, but I called and inquired and said, hey, why did you guys try to send my client to some other agent? And they said, well, that other agent is a Rocket preferred agent. Okay, then.
Yeah. Well, I've asked all my mortgage partners, like, hey, how do you generate leads? Because if it's just by calling real estate agents every day, I got bad news.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are about to get out of the business this year. Like, it's been 3 years going, right?
I need to clip that and send it to Matt. Matt on my team just took out a whole bunch of lenders in the last couple of weeks to see, and 100% of them got leads from real estate agents and were not lead generating on their own.
Yeah, which is so dumb to me because, well, another day maybe we'll cover that. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, and I think we saw this last year, about this time last year, early last year, like the number of loan officers was down considerably, like more than I think most people anticipated or expected. So you may just want to call them and see if they're still in the business anyway. Because if you send their name and number out and they're like, oh yeah, I'm flipping burgers at McDonald's now, probably not a good look for you and your business. But what do I know?
Donna, thank you for sending me the link. We'll probably have to cover it next week though. That's good stuff. Okay. Yeah, and by the way, you guys, y'all can just shout out if you're in Clubhouse or YouTube or whatever. Feel free just to pile in there. That says Red Rocket Mortgage. No. All right.
Confirmed.
Yeah, that was a Freudian slip last year. All right, well, let's take a look at how Compass rates MLSs. I thought this was an interesting article too. How strict are the MLSs? Here's how Compass saw it. So this is on Inman. Basically, Compass had their analyst go through all the MLSs and see which ones were easiest to work with and see which ones were hardest to work with. And these came through some of the thousands of documents filed in court as part of the litigation, the lawsuit that Compass is bringing against Zillow. In when was that? Was that it was middle of last year. The most restrictive MLS, according to the ranking, is the Northwest Multiple Listing Service, who they are also in a lawsuit with. That the author says of this article, that should perhaps come as no surprise. Compass and NWMLS, which is based in Seattle, have been battling for the past year. At one point, NWMLS cut off Compass's license to its IDX feed, and Compass responded by suing the multiple listing service, saying it was acting like a monopoly. The ranking, so this is back to the MLS rankings. The rankings reflected things as they stood in January of 2025, so a year ago. That was a moment when the National Association of Realtors was preparing to announce changes to the clear cooperation policy that required listings to be entered into the MLS within 1 day. Compass was advocating for the outright repeal of the policy, NER ended up keeping it in place. Now, I haven't made one of those backgrounds to this in a long time, but if you recall, the clear cooperation policy is the thing that allows a brokerage to market a listing within its own brokerage and try to double in both deals. Double in the deal. They are not allowed to publish it publicly, but they are allowed to double in the deal within their own brokerage. Now, proponents of the clear cooperation policy act like they've never read that and say that if you get rid of the clear cooperation policy, it makes it to where you, like Compass, could double in the deal. But then that doesn't make sense because it's completely public and everyone can see that the listing is available, including other agents. So that doesn't really make sense. There's also a big group of people that believe that their MLS would go away if you could just publish a listing anywhere. So if you're a member of the MLS and you put that listing anywhere else, within 24 hours, you have to put it into the MLS and make it go public there. Leo Pareja wrote to a colleague on the day the NAR news was announced that it looks like Redfin got his way. I don't really understand that because they didn't repeal the policy. It's not clear how the list would stand if it was created today, as NAR powered MLSs create their own timelines. The rankings, a ranking of 1 on the scale would indicate that MLS does not reinforce the clear cooperation policy. On the other end of 5 was regarded as hostile and with more strict rules, no office exclusives, and then no public marketing of listing. A 3 on the scale meant that the MLS allowed for Compass coming soon listings to be marketed for 1 business day. So 5 MLSs, RealTrax, MLS Property Information Network, Garden State MLS, New Jersey MLS, and the Bay Area Real Estate Information Services were deemed to have what Compass viewed at the time as the friendliest policies. So there you go, guys. If you're in those MLSs, give me a shout. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, it's just frozen. Okay. Some of the largest multiple listing services in the nation, including Bright MLS and the Houston Association of Realtors and MRED in Chicago, ranked 2 of 5, according to the list. So here's the full tier list. We should just make them more like S tier and all that kind of stuff. Adam Johnson said, well, MLS is self-police. Yeah, that's never going to work for clear cooperation yet. So the best, the worst, the only number 5 on the list was Northwest Multiple Listing Service. You have North Texas Real Estate Information System, California Regional, Georgia MLS, First Multiple Listing Service, Smart MLS, Listing Editor Manual, and then Greenwich Association of Realtors. Those were all number 4. Then you had a whole bunch of 3s. I'm trying to find the most. Las Vegas Realtors number 3, San Antonio number 3, Miami number 3. So, where's the others? Okay, yeah, they don't. I want to see all of them. Here's get the data. I wonder if we can get all the data. And to see it all. It's just a comma delineated file. Oh yeah. Ha. So you can click get the data at the bottom of the screen there and get all the data, including the number 1s and number 2s. Yeah, I've already told you the number 1s on there were the easiest to work with. San Diego MLS was a 2. Austin was a 2. Bright was a 2. Okay. I don't know where some of these others are located, but Emerald Coast is a 2. So there you go.
What do you mean easiest to work with?
So they're easiest for Compass to work with and to put their 3-phase marketing system in place in those MLSs. So the ones that were rated number 3, they could market their listings publicly, but then had to input those listings into the MLS within 24 hours. And it was enforced at the MLS level. The number 2s and number 1s were less strict. Yeah. Ain't that interesting? What's up, Pope Tyler? These MLSs must self-report? Question mark. How accurate do you think that is? What do you mean self-report? You mean as to their ease? I mean, I'm sure they just looked at the MLS policy manuals and just looked at those MLS policies and figured out what it was. Okay, so speaking of MLS Access, I thought this was, I mean, it is kind of a big deal, but this is not what I thought it was when I read it at first. So this says, industry vets debut playbook to provide non-realtor MLS access. Or if you're grand, debut. A pair of real estate veterans launched a new initiative on Wednesday aimed at creating new pathways for MLS access for agents and brokers who may not want to join realtor organizations. So I thought this was like, hey, here's a download. You take this download and this will show you how to operate as a real estate brokerage that's not a member of NAR, but yet has access to MLSs. That's not exactly what it is. It's more for MLSs to look and see what people are doing. And these two industry veterans teamed up with Alloy Advisors to create this doc, but you have to register for the doc and go to a briefing and all that kind of stuff. But this is what they said about it. There are a lot of business, legal, and political landmines for any association to work through. And between the three of us and our outside lawyers, we've got the experience necessary to help them sort through all that. So basically, they want to be like a consultant to MLSs to say, well, here's how to do it. If you want to break away from your local board, here's what to do. And the reason why that's possible is because NAR repealed policy statement 7.7, which dealt with multiple listing service access and basically allows non-realtors to have MLS access. Well, here's their website promoting it. And specifically a case study from Phoenix Realtors that I thought was really interesting. Phoenix Realtors non-MLS member access. An owner of AR MLS, Phoenix Realtors has permitted non-member participation since NAR's 1994 policy decision that gave the MLS option to do so. As debate surrounds the membership intensified, Phoenix leadership wanted to give the brokers and agents more flexibility and make it clear that MLS access and realtor membership are not the same, and build a solution that was principled, transparent, and suitable. So here's what's included, which I thought was interesting. Their pricing on it was $250 a year per agent. And it says access to AR MLS. Now you still have to pay like whatever little MLS fee, the monthly fees and stuff like that. You still have to do that. But the pricing for this membership, non-member membership type, that doesn't really make sense, but it does. You get dedicated legal forms. And that's the one thing, like if I look at my business personally, yeah, I could get an attorney to redraft everything and create our own docs. But the thing that keeps me in my local board are two things: access to the MLS and the legal docs. So if they came up with a way for me to get the dedicated state compliant legal forms and I still get access to the MLS and the professional tools, the only thing I'm really missing is RPR, which is a great comparative market analysis tool, but I could buy another version. I could get like the cloud, cloud CMA or whatever. I could get something like that to take that place. There's really no other reason for my business to be a realtor. None of my friends know what a realtor is. What it is not. Non-member MLSs is not realtor membership. Subscribers are not realtors, cannot use the realtor marks and logos or designations, do not belong to local, state, and national realtor associations, do not receive the full suite of realtor benefits, do not vote in the Phoenix Realtors elections and serve on the board. Okay.
Most of the attorneys in our area use the same forms we use. They just cross all the stuff off that they don't want on there. But they're using the exact same forms.
Well, our forms are copywritten, so you can't do that here.
But what about the dashboard?
Oh, yeah. Dashboards. I would miss out on the dashboards.
Shit. What's the acronym for our national MLS, right?
I think they should use dumbledores.com, Wizards of Real Estate, but that's just me. I own that, by the way.
I would say that could be the URL. Then you definitely don't need to be a realtor.
I know, right?
Realtor. Yep.
Mia says app files is great for documents. Okay. MN Association of Realtors owns the MN Docs. So, okay. Yeah, so that's the same thing as Arkansas Realtors Association owns the Arkansas Docs. Adam. Okay. I thought this was an interesting case study. In this case study, I would definitely just be a non-member with access to MLS because it's got everything I want and it doesn't have the politics and stuff that I don't want. I'm not a politics guy. And I don't understand why I should be involved in that as a real estate agent. Why force me? Because, the National Association of Realtors comes out at the end of last year and says, but wait, We're doing all this wonderful stuff as your NAR. And we have this amazing plan. And as you recall, we went through the plan and it didn't look like there was anything new. Well, to further convince us that there is new stuff and it is better, the National Association of Realtors created an annual report. And in the annual report, they go into detail about everything they're doing for the Realtor community. That's what the annual report looks like, and you can download the PDF as well. Our commitment begins with listening, enhancing member satisfaction, advancing the Realtor brand, and connecting and empowering with our industry partners. So I downloaded this PDF and looked through it. I will show it to you now. It is it's a weird doc size, first off. It's not like a normal PDF where everything's 8.5 by 11. It's got a cover that is, and then it's like a 11 by 17 layout for everything else. So, and there's Kevin. I mean, I feel like I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. I feel like he's kind of doing the best he can. He's one of the lowest paid executives up there. The highest paid is Nakia, the CEO. And that's the one that I have some issue with because she's paid way more than Kevin. I don't feel like the direction we're going is the direction we should be going as a group. But I also realize that I'm reading this with some skepticism and partiality against NAR because of the past and because I haven't seen anything valuable in the 18 years that I've been a licensed agent. And so I'm like, well, maybe I should really give them the benefit of the doubt. You know, they have a lot of information in here about moving forward and what we're going to do and what's going to happen. And I read through it, and the thing that I kept seeing, like modernizing the association, they're talking about creating a better member experience with the dashboard. It says their 2026 priorities, NAR will further add to its data resources and comprehensive member dashboard. You thought I was joking, but that's literally the statement right here. The Metro statistics dashboard will go beyond presenting raw housing data and will tell you stuff that you're not supposed to talk about, like demographics. It does do that, by the way. What's ironic is you would look at that and you could present it to your client and then get in trouble with the code of ethics because you're basically saying, well, here's where the white people are, here's where the black people are, that's what the dashboard, it tells you things that you're not supposed to talk about with your clients. So what are y'all doing? Anyway, 2026 priorities under the Help Realtors Thrive in Day-to-Day Business. They will advance interconnected initiatives designed to accelerate member success and elevate realtor professionalism throughout the marketplace. What? Okay. They're going to adopt an advanced technology and tooling. So anyway, I realized like, man, I might be being too harsh on them. So I decided to take all of this information, upload it to ChatGPT and say, hey, give me a non-biased opinion of this document. I told ChatGPT, I said, look up the history of NAR and how real estate agents interact with NAR, the gripes against NAR, the positives of NAR. Take all that into consideration when you review this document. And this is what it says. What NAR is generally doing right. Legal realism. They have new general counsel, explicit omissions that prior policies created risk, and policy rollbacks and MLS rule revisions. Financial discipline. They cut $50 million in expenses. There's a headcount reduction and zero-based budgeting coming. And then it just starts going in on where this whole thing is terrible, where the report falls off. No ownership language. Nowhere does it plainly say we were wrong and these policies hurt members. It uses mistakes of the past, learning from them, evolving environment. It says that's corporate insulation language, not accountability. Strategy without sacrifice. Every initiative is additive. This is what you were talking about, Jack. More dashboards, more education, more communication frameworks, more committees. What's missing? What NAR will stop doing, what power it will relinquish, and what members can opt out of. Real reform usually involves subtraction. This report avoids that entirely. Isn't that interesting? I thought that was super interesting. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. The member value problem is still unsolved. NAR repeatedly defines success as helping members get to their next transaction. But agents don't need help getting into transactions. They need help protecting margins, explaining value post-lawsuit, competing against unbundled tech-enabled alternatives. The report does not answer how NAR uniquely solves that problem better than brokers, teams, or private platforms. And then it says, is NAR taking ground? No. Is it an organization holding ground? Maybe. Is it moving forward? Procedurally, yes. Visionarily, no. It says this is a competent recovery document, not a bold leadership one. So the plain English verdict, agents are intuitively reaching. NAR is protecting itself first and members second. It's responding, not leading. It's trying to restore legitimacy, not redefine relevance. That does not make it malicious or useless, but it does explain why agents are increasingly saying, I don't feel represented, I feel managed. Boom. I wish I had a boom. Oh, wait. This is...
Boom. Roasted.
Oh, wow. I mean, ChatGPT went in. I mean, that was the closest boom I had. That was it. That was the closest boom I had, man.
It's a good one, though. I mean, you know, I kept like going through my Rolodex. So I was like, what boom? And I'll be honest, you caught me completely off guard with that one.
It says,
I don't know if it's too big to fail, but it definitely has proven itself to be too big to change.
oh, that's good. It's not too big to fail, but too big to change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or adapt, or any word that would be for the benefit of the tradespeople that they represent. Where's that?
Well, you know, my answer to that, Jack, is going to be just get involved. Go volunteer. You'll change it.
No, I almost had a spit take right there.
I say that line a lot, Matt. But again, it wouldn't change anything if we're involved.
It wouldn't. You don't think you have a voice in our industry? Look, you're on the world's largest real estate podcast for this week.
That's right.
In real estate.
It's the longest running real estate podcast and the #1 bearded real estate podcast in the world.
And if you go to Taiwan, you guarantee that they know exactly what's going on. Is it Taiwan?
Yeah,
or
it's
Thailand?
Taiwan. We're number 16 on all news podcasts in Taiwan. Yeah.
Nice.
I have no idea. Hello to the Taiwanese viewers. Thank you for checking out the show. And we don't know why we're so popular there, but hey.
You go over there and raise faces on billboards. That would be hilarious.
Who knows? Maybe this show is like an in for, maybe they're very strict. I don't know. I don't know anything about Taiwan, but let's say they're very strict, right? And they're so strict, as a matter of fact, that this show is like the OnlyFans for bearded men. And they're like, oh my goodness, look at this bearded man guy. And this is just all these Taiwanese women watching the show. And that's why we're ranked so high in Taiwanese. Who knows?
We'll never know.
Yeah, but now with all those words and the AI reading all of those words to recommend my show, I don't know what kind of viewers we're going to get, but hey. Okay. So this is the last thing that ChatGPT said about the, what's the full title of this thing? The annual report from the Realtors Association. It says, until NAR can clearly answer this one sentence, why should an experienced producing agent choose to belong if membership were optional? The frustration will continue no matter how polished the reports are. What? Man, I thought this was really good. So, I didn't think the report was very good. I thought the analysis of ChatGPT was very good. And I feel like at the very minimal, the National Association of Realtors should have taken all of the printed information in the report and they should have taken the printed information and run it through ChatGPT to say, hey, if somebody uploads this report and asks you to evaluate it, what would you say about it? Because I think that they could have really turned it around. They could have said, oh, I get it. Okay, so we're not really doing anything. We're just adding stuff and we're not subtracting anything. And there's really no need for an experienced real estate agent to be a member of NAR.
To me, the only purpose for NAR is that they are in the government offices. They're there to hopefully be doing something for the general population for their benefit. I don't feel like it has anything to do with us as realtors at all, other than giving us rules that may or may not be working.
Okay.
But somebody has to be in a government situation that is fighting for the general population's rights as homeowners, property owners, or to be property owners.
Okay, well, that's why we vote. But, you know, whenever, for instance, drug companies have lobbyists, right? They have tons and tons of lobbyists that are lobbying for their drugs and products or just research in general. And there's no required membership for the drug company to join to do it. So if, for instance, let's say a senator out there came out against home ownership, which you guys may think that's crazy, but if you see everything that's happening in New York, there are local New York representatives that are saying, how about instead of home ownership, we all own the homes and not just one person own the homes. So, and that's the local representative. Well, guess who is in New York? A bunch of real estate companies. And those real estate companies can get loud and say, hey guys, this is what's happening. But what we've done as a group of realtors is that we've given away that responsibility to lobbyists that we hire for millions and millions of dollars, instead of taking on that responsibility and being well informed about what our politicians are saying here locally. I know what my politicians believe locally about housing, but that's because I think that's my burden. I think as a real estate agent, I'm supposed to. But most real estate agents rely on the lobbyist that we hire as an organization. But if they didn't exist, more agents would likely take responsibility and say, yeah, I mean, people need to know, hey, you currently own a home. This person, this representative says they want to take away that home ownership and make everyone own the home. And then we vote that person out. Instead of paying money to try to get that person to change their view, we just get rid of them. And I would rather do that. Julie Moon says it's supposed to add credibility, but general public doesn't know anything about NAR. 100%. And what I don't like is when NAR lobbies so hard for one party that the other party then comes against them, because that's also a risk. And if you're just using the lobby arm of NAR to try to push around politicians, and you give more money to one party than the other, or you support one party more than the other, then you have an entire political party coming after you, instead of just lobbying for homeownership. That's all it needs to be. Anyway, I can get off my soapbox now. Hey, speaking of stepping off a soapbox, Glenn Kelman stepped down as Redfin CEO. What happened? In a post, he says, after 20 years, I'm leaving Redfin. I gave it my all, and leaving was my decision. I love my colleagues. We saved consumers $1 billion in commissions. Who knows what they cost them and the amount that those people paid for the home still. or in the amount that they sold their homes for. Who knows? Untold amounts. I hope to use all that I learned to do something. It says something, but I think it means something as good as Redfin in a different field. Interesting, in a different field. I'm grateful for Rocket and its CEO, Varun Krishna, for helping us play to win. I'm grateful to Redfin customers. I think we talked about this on the show, but one of the things that we said whenever this happened was, I feel like Glenn's gone. And that is what we see here. He said it was his decision, but you don't need two CEOs. So I think instead of taking a lesser role, he was just like, all right, guys, I'm not gonna be demoted. Kelman said his last day in office will be Friday, January 16th. That was last week. Who will remain to support Rocket and Redfin through April 1st. Kelman's departure marks the end of leadership run that began September of 2005, shortly after Redfin was founded in 2004. Over that period, he oversaw Redfin's growth into a national brokerage. He definitely grew the company. He achieved the company's goals. As a CEO, he did exactly what you want a CEO to do, taking the company to new heights, making a lot of money for stockbrokers, and then continually to advocate for his company and the employees there. So, he did his job. I don't agree with some of his takes, but he definitely did a good job as CEO, which is interesting. So I wonder who's going to get him. I wonder what field he's going into. Speaking of Redfin, let's talk about the market. Monthly housing costs start the year down 5%, the biggest decline in over a year. The monthly housing payments would be falling if it were not for still rising sale prices. The median home sale price is up 1% year over year, though it's worth noting that it's small compared to 4% to 5% increases at the start of 2025. Despite the lower housing cost, fewer people are buying and selling homes. Pending home sales fell 5% for the year. We have some more pending home sale information in just a second. Portland's buyers, that's going into regional stuff, so I'm not going to get into regional stuff right now, but here's the data. Median sale price is plus 1% year over year. Here we are over here here it is right there. That's where we are. So the green is 2025, the blue is 2024, the orange is 2023. And you can see that we are starting at a higher mark than we did in 2025. But it's a lower mark than was at the end of 2025. So that's why affordability seems to have improved. Median asking price is plus 1.5% year over year. Homebuyer housing payments is down 5.5%. So the mortgage payment on a 4-week rolling average of the median asking. Pending sales down negative 5%. So here we are down here on this one. New listing of homes. That's a sharp increase right here. That's a real sharp increase right at the beginning of the 4 weeks. It's still down 5% year over year, but that's like a hockey stick graph. And then the active listings is going down. All right, let's talk about pending home sales. This is what we were just talking. Pending home sales dropped to the lowest level on record aside from the start of the pandy. Look at that. Since January 2012, pending home sales are the lowest. Home price growth slows, but prices remain high. And then new listings dropped to the lowest level in nearly 2 years. This big thing in the middle is COVID. And then here's where we are over here. New listings are down. So how are you guys feeling? What's happening in your market? I asked this question in Clubhouse. And I said, how's your year so far? It says blast off has a rocket. It says sad days with a crying emoji. And it says meh. 55% of you said it's blast off. 19% of you said sad days. And 28% of the listeners over there said it's meh. Thanks for voting in the poll. I might try to use that every now and then. I like it.
Can you do the same thing on YouTube? Well, I guess you could say
Polls?
comment one if it's polls.
I think I can, but the last time I did a poll, it kind of messed up the chat replay.
Yeah,
So-
we don't want to do that.
No, yeah, I don't. It was
Nobody
like
wants to miss the banter or the chatter. Yeah.
Matt, this is amazing. Matt says, "Thanks for handling that referral, Julie." So there you go, Matt. And then says, "You should all subscribe to get more referrals in 2026." Very, very, very true.
I mean, it's not going to hurt you to subscribe to the show and get a referral, right? Can we all agree?
Yeah. Subscribe and hit that bell.
So I was at an economic update this morning, which the guy went to the North Avenue Trade School, also known as Georgia Tech. And so, take this all with a grain of salt. He thinks, and all indicators point to, and this is a very macro, so we're not going to get micro to Atlanta real estate necessarily. It was a very nationwide kind of, look, if you will. He thinks 2026 is going to be about what 2025 was in terms of real estate. He did break it down to like 3 or 4 slides specific to Atlanta, obviously, but like as a whole, he thinks tariffs and trade and, USA, not the chant, but like we're taking over everything just in the last week could potentially mean that a lot of the uncertainty, people don't want to buy and sell real estate when they're uncertain about their job, their business, their kids' college, their stocks, their bonds, their mutual funds. So not the most positive news, obviously, but like I said, subscribe to the show, you'll get a referral anyway.
True. I mean, I would love to know the political leanings of that economist, because you could also see, number one, you're adding a whole bunch of land mass. How many builders want to build up there, right? But no, I'm kidding.
Greenland is prime, that's for sure.
I hear it's not as big, though.
I thought that was Iceland. Oh wait, no. Greenland is ice. Iceland is green. Never mind.
That's right. Greenland is not nearly as big. There's only like 56,000 people anyway. And to be a state, you have to have 60,000 men in an area to be a state. So they're not going to be a state, but they could be a territory.
Give them a week. We can find some refugees.
Adam Johnson says he agrees unless rates are sub 5%. If they go sub 5%, that'll get more buyers' buying power. And he says, I want to see FHA remove a funding fee and a monthly mortgage insurance. That would be awesome. Okay, well, here's my take. And I think I said this around the prediction show. I don't know that the Fed is going to lower the rates anymore because he knows that he's out. He's also, people are trying to get rid of him for fraud and stuff, but he knows he's out in May. So then when Trump puts his guy in, and if there have been no decreases until then, I think there's going to be a quarter point or a half a point decrease. So I think because of that, the current Fed chair is going to be like, I'm not doing anything until then. And so I think you're going to see some delayed wins in housing. Right now, for us, it's doing really well. At the beginning of the year, it's probably quadrupled business since November. We have 5 new listings, I think, in the last week and a half. We've got new contracts being written. So we are seeing a pretty big increase in the amount of participation and activity in the market. So if that holds, if we see that more and more, then it's going to be a way better year than it was in 2025. But it could be regional. There could be some regional differences. But I feel like the tariffs did not do what everyone thought they did. The tariffs are actually giving us more money and could potentially lower our prices. Trump is thinking about giving some of the tariff money just to the people, like cutting them a check. So things like that could really stimulate the economy. And if that happens, we could be at risk of inflation again, which would delay the reduction of the Fed funds rate, but also rates would probably go down anyway. So I think it's very rate dependent, like Adam said, but I don't agree with the 5%. I think if rates were hovering somewhere around the low 6s, I think you're going to see a whole bunch of people jump in the market.
Yeah, I'll have to show you one of the graphs because he was very quick to say at the very beginning, look, these are all my personal opinions. I'm just an economist. This isn't Georgia Tech speaking, and this is just my own, don't take financial advice from me, basically. But one of the interesting graphs that he had was on the tariffs, and he called it tariff whiplash, because that's kind of what has happened. You see all the things go up and then sharp decline, and then up and then sharp decline. And he didn't talk too much about his political leanings. I could muster a guess on it if I really had to, but I think at the end of the day, the optimism is still there. I think that the inventory is almost as high, which is very interesting nationwide, at least, almost to the crash, like 09, 2010. We almost have that much current inventory, which is nuts when you think about it. Now, it's still pretty crappy inventory. So those of you with beautiful houses out there, if you're listening, even if you're outside Taiwan or Thailand, please sell your house immediately.
Immediately sell.
Hey, Ray. Hey, Ray, this is Deb.
What's up, Deb?
Hey, I wanted to Hi. Hey, I heard you talking about the rates.
Yeah.
And how it'll create inflation. Well, what Trump's trying to do is he's going to still lower the rate, even if, we do get inflation. And he's also, with the credit card companies, 10%,
yeah.
Cap.
Usury rates.
So,
yeah.
Yep. So he knows what he's doing, and he's doing it. And for housing, he's doing stuff. So I don't think we're going to have that bad of inflation because of what he's doing to stimulate the economy and keep our rates low and stuff. So
yeah,
I'm really thinking positive.
I think so far it's been a good thing. Like everything that's happened so far economically seems to have worked out really well. But I know that the Fed worries about inflation as it relates to rates. So if you see companies expanding and more people being employed, then the inflation rate could tick up because more people are buying things. And until we get caught up with production, the prices on stuff is going to inch up. But it is down. I mean, it's down to like 2.7 versus what it was last year at this time, around 6 or 7% or something like that. So it is, I mean, I guess it was it was last year. It was starting to come down off the big high. So
yeah, and then he's also going to let companies bring their money from overseas.
Yeah, reinvest in the U.S.
Yep.
That's a big plus.
Mm-hmm.
But when they reinvest in the U.S., what do? Right? They invest into companies. They expand operations. They start to buy things. So as those companies start to buy stuff, it does increase pressure on various orders. So that's the delicate balance of the Fed. They try to keep everybody gainfully employed, but they also have to watch out because as companies are expanding, that's what causes the price on stuff to increase before they can catch up with production. So we'll see. This is an interesting stat. Speaking of inflation, there is a bit of deflation, but it's in your home size. So this has been a trend that we've talked about several times over the years on the show, but single family home size continues to decline. It actually went up in 2016, 2017. It started to go down and it continues to go down, where the average home size is getting smaller and the average home price is getting higher. So it's costing less to build if all the materials were the same price, but materials are also going up too. So it's not exactly comparable, but still less materials.
Just like everything at the grocery store.
Yeah, everything. Yeah, for real. Those bags of chips are like air, man. There's nothing in them. Yeah. Adam Johnson said, I'm seeing low sixes already. I am too for certain buyers, but it tends to be mid sixes a lot as well. Thanks, Matt. Matt sent me the photo of the Economist.
6 is a pretty good rate, isn't it?
6 is good.
Historically speaking.
Historically, yep.
Yeah.
I think 6 is very healthy. I'd like to see us stay there. And people are getting used to it. I mean, I've got new buyers getting qualified. I mean, people are getting used to it.
Yeah.
People are figuring out that it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, we've got first-time home buyers that are getting approved at that. Mortgage refinances.
Nobody has said. Nobody has said to me, I'm waiting for a half a point less before I do something. I don't know.
And the new home buyers are happy because they're getting the, rate buy down. They're getting 4.99. They have the best rates, new home sales.
Hey, Caroline said we are at 5.5 with US Bank. That's good. So we'll see. It's only bad when you compare your sub 4 that you already have. Yeah, it's not bad. 6 is good. But when you're sitting in a 2.75, it's so hard to sell that house,
Right?
It's so hard to sell that house.
No.
But how many years away from are we, Ray? Was that 22?
Go on. Get
21?
Wait, Deb.
Are you talking to me, Deb?
No, Deb's got to mute over there. Don't forget to mute.
Down, boy.
Sit down.
How far away from we are that? How far away are we from that low?
From what
I'm
low?
trying to look it up real quick.
From
Mortgage rate, 3%. Yeah,
3.5 years or so. I think it's around 3.5 years. I can't remember though.
So it's 2021.
Yeah. So I guess 4 years. Wow.
Yep. Right up to December of 21, and then it spiked up to 6% by the end of January 23.
Well, look at this. Last week, applications to refi a home rose 20% compared with the previous week. According to the Mortgage Bankers Association seasonally adjusted index, applications were 183% higher than the same week a year ago. That's the biggest number I've seen in a long time. Applications to purchase rose 5% and were 18% higher than the same week a year ago. So, I mean, it's happening, but right now you still see home sellers outnumber buyers by a record margin. But maybe it's just a delay. Maybe we're going to see more and more buyers come in as they are getting these applications for financing. It's the strongest buyers market on record, is what it says, with 47.1% more sellers than buyers.
Regionally, we're not seeing that.
Yeah, I think it's going to depend on where you are for sure.
Oh, and then Ray, you got to think about the, he's trying to stop the hedge funds from buying property.
Did you look at my rundown? Because look at this. Trump signs an order to limit Wall Street investors for single family housing is our very next article. But really, whenever you look at the numbers, that's only 7% of home purchases lately. Another percentage I heard is that 15% of homes are bought by investors, but the hedge funds, the big ones, are only about 7%. So it makes a 7% difference. You still have 93% of the problem to contend with. Now it says institutional investors own 3% of the single family rentals. But recently they've made up about 7% of the purchases. So it does make a difference. I think it scratches the itch of a lot of conspiracy theorists too, but I don't necessarily think it's going to make that much of a difference in housing overall. If supply is truly higher, then there are some people out there that wish a Wall Street company would come buy their house. So you're also, for certain markets and for certain groups, you're removing buyers from the market, which could be detrimental.
I'd almost like to see them do the same thing that they do with a foreclosure, where the institutional buyers and the people who are going to rent them can't even put in an offer for 30 days.
Yeah.
Just simply have it available for first-time home buyers for the first 30 days.
That's not a bad idea at all. You could do that with certain loan types too, but I know they do that on foreclosures and stuff already. Home prices, they're still going up, guys. 0.1% in December. So yeah, they didn't go up much, but they did go up. I think home prices are probably going to level out over the next several years. That's what we're going to see. We actually have a guy that's looking to sell a really, really nice piece of land. I wish I could buy it myself. And on that piece of land, he was like, should I just hold it and let it continue to go up? I'm like, we we just saw like the greatest increases of our lifetime. You know, this little right here, that was way out of whack. I'm showing the steepest increase on the graph for the audio listeners. And I think it's just going to kind of level out and be like it always has been from now on, an average of what, around 3% every year. So I don't think it's going to be anything major. It seems like everything's settling down. So I welcome it. I welcome it. Let me get to these comments. 5 to 5.5 will get people to move, says Adam. And he said that was, Julie says that was 2019 and 2020. 2021 was the super low because that happened in response to COVID a year later. So, all right. Well, guys, thanks for listening to the show. I do want to show you guys. So there's several masterminds that I'm involved with throughout the week. And I have a weekly email that I send to people. And I've got a new layout that I'm really proud of, and it'll go out next week for the first time. And it basically shows you a calendar. So it's got like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And in that calendar has the masterminds. It's got our podcast listed with the various ways you can listen from YouTube, Clubhouse, and ways you can download. And it also has the book club links on there. It's also got the Purpose Driven Live Book Club link on there if you're interested in that. And some of these masterminds are like once a month. So I keep up with that kind of stuff so you guys don't have to. If you're interested in that, send me an email. Look in the description of the YouTube channel. And in that description, it has the email you can send to. It's ray@pixelproperties.com. That's ray@pixelproperties.com. So send me an email. Say, Ray, I want to be on your mastermind list. We will put you on the mastermind list. And then every Monday morning, you'll get a list of all the masterminds that are happening during the week, including the book club. And again, the book club sign up specifically is in the comments of the YouTube channel as well. So sign up there if you're interested in going through the infinite game with us. Thanks everyone for participating. Shout out to those of you on Clubhouse that lend your voice to the podcast. And thank you guys for downloading. Give us a rate, hit the bell, subscribe, do all the YouTubey things. And I will see y'all next week.